Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. I'm so excited to introduce this Afrocentric crochet hat pattern. Just look at these three variations I've made. The first variation was in white and I used baby lamb. The second was in red and in milk cotton, and so that is the tutorial for you. I have your milk cotton yarn here, 200 grams. I got it from Crochet by Tess yarn store in Ghana, and I love the texture. It's 4 ply. As a beginner, you must believe in yourself because this pattern is very detailed and is going to take you through. The supplies are on your screen and you don't need a lot of yarn to make this. For the hook size, you can size up to 4.0 if you want a bigger feel. But for this texture, I use 3.5mm hook and a 6.0mm hook for the puff or elongated puff stitch section. A little analysis before we dive into the pattern. This hat is quite simple. It consists of the flat part and then the elongated puff stitch part which has the cowries. That's why the cowries is needed for this, detail going on. And for the beneath button, it is a simple ribbed band which will cinch in, and there's a strap also holding it in place. This makes it very cute and more beginner friendly. To begin this pattern, we are going to make a slip knot. Insert your 3.5mm hook and adjust it to make your chains. To chain, wrap around and pull through the loop on the hook. I made a total of 4 chains as the beginning chain for this hat pattern. Afterwards, I'm going to locate the first chain space I made, wrap the yarn around the hook, insert inside that space, pull the loop through the chain space. You should have 3 loops on the hook. Yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and that's a simple double crochet stitch. You are going to repeat this double crochet pattern into the same space 10 more times. We have only 2 stitches in the space. Go back and insert a double crochet, making 3 stitches, and then 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So we have our 12 stitches in this space, and you can see that you have this round feature. Now you are going to locate your very first chain 3 you made over there. Don't slip stitch in the wrong space. Make sure it's inside on top of the chain 3 space. Insert your hook, pull up a loop, and then pull through the loop on the hook, and you have your nice slip stitch done. Now for row 2, we are going to increase our stitches to 24. Start with a chain of 3 and make a double crochet in the same stitch to make an increase. So this already counts as 2 double crochet according to the pattern. Now the next stitch we are going to do is a front post double crochet, and please pay attention here. We are going to do 2 front post double crochet around the same double crochet in the next stitch. I'm trying to pinpoint here. And so wrap the yarn around the hook, insert around the next stitch or double crochet, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and that's a front post double crochet. Now go back around the same stitch or the same double crochet you made. I'm trying to pinpoint that, and insert another front post double crochet around. Please take note that front post double crochet is always done around the stitch, and so you see that there's this detail that has been outlined nicely. And so it's going to be a simultaneous repetition of placing 2 double crochet on top of the next stitch, and around the following stitch, which is the next double crochet. We are going to do 2 front post double crochet around. It's always going to be around. And so repeat this simultaneously. 2 double crochet on top of the next stitch, in the following or around the following stitch we are going to do 2 front post double crochets. And I'll meet you at the end of the row when you are done. Please take note that you always end with 2 front post double crochet around the last stitch. And so you are going to insert your hook and slip stitch, and let's get ready for row 3. So you can see that there are some sections that are raised. The front post section is a total of 6 if you count 2 for each side, making 12 front post double crochet. We are going to maintain this throughout. For row 3, we are going to chain 3 as usual, and you are going to place a double crochet in the same exact stitch, making an increase because the chain 3 counts as a stitch. Now you are going to move to the next stitch, the next double crochet, and just place 1 double crochet on top of it. Now you are going to meet your front post double crochet, okay? So wrap the yarn around the hook and insert around the first front post double crochet and repeat the same front post double crochet around it. Move to the next front post double crochet and repeat another front post double crochet around it, and so you have 2 front post double crochet. So now the pattern is a simultaneous repetition of 2 double crochet into the next stitch and then 1 double crochet into the following before you meet your front post. So 2 double crochets, and then in the next stitch 1 double crochet, and then that's when you meet your 2 front post double crochet. We are going to place 1 front post around the first one right there, as you can see. Don't make a mistake here. And then another front post on the second round, around the second round. So you start to see the pattern forming. So the simultaneous repetition, 2 double crochet, 1 double crochet in the following, and then when you get to the front post section, we are going to place 1 front post around the first one and then 1 front post around the second one. I'll meet you at the end of the row. So getting to the end of the row, you are going to do one front post around the first one and then another front post around the second one, and that's how you end. And to finally end it all, you are going to insert your hook into the chain 3 and then you are going to slip stitch to join. This is looking good, and you realize that you have 3 double crochet for the normal double crochet of each section. So at the end of the row, you should have 30 stitches. For row 4, you are going to chain 3 as usual, and then you are going to place a double crochet in the same exact stitch. This time we are going to increase the normal double crochet section into 5 double crochets. You understand it, don't get confused. So in the same stitch, as you can see, I've placed a double crochet there, making an increase, and then I'm going to move to the next double crochet and place 1 double crochet on top. And then for the next double crochet, once again, I'm going to make an increase by placing 2 double crochets in the same stitch. And this will make the increase section to 5. So we had 3 from the previous row 3, and now we have 5 double crochets. Now you are meeting the front post double crochet always. You are going to do 1 front post around the first one, and then 1 front post around the second one. And this is what you should have. We are going to do a simultaneous repetition by placing an increase or 2 double crochet into the next stitch. One double crochet into the following stitch. And once again an increase of 2 double crochet in the next stitch. And so for this section as well, you are going to meet your next 2 front post double crochets, and you are going to do 1 front post double crochet around the first and then 1 front post around the second as usual. And then you are going to continue with your simultaneous repetition of 2 double crochet increase, 1 double crochet into the following, and 2 double crochet into the next, making 5 for each section. I'll meet you at the end of the row and we move to row 5. So getting to the end of row 4, always you are going to end with 1 front post around the first front post double crochet and 1 front post around the second, and then you slip stitch to join. You should have 42 stitches by the end of this row. Let's move to row 5. For row 5, you are going to have 8 double crochet per section of increase. We had 5 double crochet per section for the previous row. And so to begin, we are always going to chain 3, and we are going to place a double crochet in the same exact stitch, which will make an increase since the chain 3 counts as a stitch. And then we are going to move to the next stitch and place 1 double crochet there. In the following stitch, we are going to place 2 double crochet in the same stitch. And then 1 double crochet stitch in the next. In the following, 2 double crochets. You should have 8 double crochet per section so far before you meet your 2 front post double crochet. So as usual, around each front post, the first front post, you are going to do just a front post around it, and then for the second front post, 1 front post around it, and that will be the simultaneous repetition. 2 double crochet into the next stitch, 1 double crochet into the following, 2 double crochet again, 1 double crochet into the following, and then finally 2 double crochet. So let's repeat this. 2 double crochet increase, 1 double crochet into the next, 2 double crochet increase, 1 double crochet into the next, and then finally 2 double crochet increase before you meet your 2 front posts, where you are going to maintain the same front post around it. And by the end of the row, you should have 60 stitches including the front post. The front post is always 12 and will always remain 12. Okay, I'll meet you at the end. I would like to take this opportunity to encourage you to subscribe to my channel. Since I got demonetized recently, I would like to, set up and restart my goal of getting monetized. So please do that for me. So as usual, you always end with 1 front post around the first and second front post, and then you slip stitch to join. For row 6, we are going to chain 3 as usual, and then we are going to place a double crochet in the same stitch to make an increase. So that will count as 2 double crochets so far. And then in the next 2 stitches, we are going to place 1 double crochet each. So 1 and then 2. In the following stitch, we are going to place 2 double crochets in the same stitch, making an increase. And then in the next 2 stitches, we are going to place 1 double crochet each inside. And then we are left with 2 more regular double crochet stitches. So in the next stitch, we are going to place 2 double crochets, and then in the following, just 1 double crochet. And so you should have 11 double crochet per section. Okay, and that would be the simultaneous repetition, 11 double crochet per section before you meet the front post. And so whenever you get to the front post, as usual, you are going to do 1 front post around the first front post, and then another front post around the following. And so you are maintaining your 2 front posts, and as I said, it's always 12 front post stitches. So afterwards, we are going to repeat the pattern by placing 2 double crochet in the next stitch, 1 double crochet in the next 2 stitches, 2 double crochet in the next stitch, 1 double crochet into the next 2 stitches, and then 2 double crochet in the following, and then 1 double crochet in the next. Okay, and you should have 11 double crochet per section. If you repeat this pattern simultaneously, you should have 78 stitches. So 66 stitches for the normal double crochet plus 12 stitches for the front post. And I'll meet you at the end of the row with slip stitch to join and get ready for row 7. So the excitement of slip stitching to join to begin the next row is real. So for row 7, you are going to chain a total of 3 and place a double crochet in the same exact stitch to make us an increase as usual. And then in the next 3 stitches, we are going to place 1 double crochet in each. And so in the following stitch, you are going to place 2 double crochets. And then in the next 3 stitches, we are going to place 1 double crochet in each. In the next stitch, again, 2 double crochets. And then in the next 2 stitches, we are going to place 1 double crochet in each. And you should have 14 stitches for this section, this normal double crochet section. So you realize that we had 11 double crochet for the previous section for row 6, and so we have increased to row to 14 stitches. So afterwards, whenever you meet the front post, you are going to do one front post around each, and you repeat the pattern again. 2 double crochets in the same stitch, 1 double crochet in the next 3 stitches. And then 2 double crochet in the next stitch. One double crochet in the next 3 stitches. And then 2 double crochet in the next stitch. And then 1 double crochet in the next 2 stitches. We are now at the front post section. We are going to repeat 1 front post around the first and second one, and then around the first one, and then you do another one, the second one, and then at the end of the row you should have 96 stitches. Okay, 96 stitches, 84 stitches for the regular double crochet, and 12 stitches for the front post. I'll meet you at the end of the row. So this is the end of the row. I'm going to slip stitch to join, and then our days of increase is over. Now this is the fun part about this pattern. From row 8 to row 10 is going to be normal rows. Okay, so let me demonstrate one to you. So you chain 3 as usual. Okay, so this time you're not going to do any increase like putting a stitch in the same stitch, but I'm going to move to the next stitch, so the next double crochet, and then we are going to place a double crochet on top of it. And afterwards we are going to place 1 double crochet in the next 12 stitches. Okay, so just regular row, no increase. We are just maintaining the 14 stitches for the double crochet section. However, the front post will always remain. So this is it, 14 double crochets in total. So now we are at the front post section. We are always going to do 1 front post around the first one, and then 1 front post around the second one, and that's going to be the repetition. Normal double crochet in each stitch, and when you get to the front post you always do a front post around it, and to repeat this simultaneously all around till you get to the end of the row, and I'll show you how to join. Let's fold our heart into 2. You can realize that the expansion is happening. However, when we add regular rows to it, you realize that it will spread out a little bit. So I just completed row 8, which is a normal row. I'm going to slip stitch to join and repeat row 8 for row 9, 10, and 11. You can repeat from row 9 to 10 or 2 extra rows depending on what you are going in for. So when I measure my length, it is 3.5 inches, and then we are going to measure the width, okay, which is about 6.5. okay, and so it is going to increase to what, 5 inch for the length, and then 10 each wide by the end of the normal rows. Okay, so trust the process. Add 3 or 2 extra rows depending on what you want, and I'll meet you when you're done. So I told you that when I add 3 regular rows, I'll have 5 inches for the length after folding, and then 10 inches for the width. So if the person's measurement is between 22 inches or 20 inches, this is the perfect size for you, okay? And you know crochet stretches to how wide you want, so don't worry. Next, we are going to do what we call the elongated puff stitch. So I'm switching to the 6.0 millimeter hook, and I'm going to chain a total of 2. Now take a look where you apply the stitches is important. So go back. Okay, you see these 2 front posts, the space in between the next. Okay, so you see the space at the back. Okay, we are going to insert your hook. So yarn over, insert your hook into that space before the 2 front posts. So you are not going on it, you are going in between. Okay, to make it easier, you wrap and pull through, grip it up a little so that you do not suffer. You have 3 loops, yarn over, insert in the same exact space, and then wrap the yarn around the hook and pull through. You should have 5 loops now, and then you yarn over, insert back in the same space, yarn over, pull through. You should have 7 loops so far, and then yarn over again, insert in the same space, yarn over, pull through. You should have 9 loops so far. So now that you have 9 loops, you are going to yarn over and pull through all the 9 loops, and then you wrap again and pull through the loop on the hook, making a chain. Okay, so now you're going to skip the next 2 stitches in the following, not on top but in between the 2nd and 3rd stitch. You are going to single crochet in the space there to make your puff stitch. Okay, so you can skip. The more you skip huge stitches, the more the puff becomes more elongated. So practice this. Let's move on to the next section. So as usual, I'm going to yarn over and then locate the stitches at the back, so 2 stitches behind. So the space before that stitch where I'm inserting the hook, you are going to insert, pull through, and then grip up. You have 3 loops on the hook, you yarn over, insert back, you pull through. You have how many? 5 loops, yarn over, insert, you pull through. You have 7 loops, yarn over, insert, you pull through. You have 9 loops, and then you yarn over and pull through all the 9 loops, and then you chain 1 to secure. And it is only when you have 9 loops, that's when you yarn over and pull through all. And as usual, the same repetition, you count 1 2. So the space between the 2nd and the 3rd stitch, from counting, you just single crochet to secure, and that's going to be your simultaneous repetition. You can play along with this elongated puff stitch. It's a very nice detail. Okay, so I'm going to do another one. So go back. Okay, the hook will always go back. Okay, yarn over, pull through till you have 9 loops on the hook. Okay, so 4 times, that's when you have 9 loops on the hook, and then you yarn over, pull through all 9 loops, and then you chain 1 to secure before repeating the same exact thing. Okay, and so that's the fun of the elongated puff stitch. Sorry. So figure it out and visualize it clearly and practice. You'll get this, I believe you. So getting to where the front post is nothing, extra. it's just the same repetition. Okay, so you realize that I single crochet in the stitch after the front post. So now I'm going back to the stitches before the front post, and then I'm going to yarn over, pull through till I have 9 loops on the hook before I yarn over and pull through all the 9 loops, and then I chain 1 to secure and continue my puff stitch detail. Okay, joining the row is not difficult after repeating this puff stitch all around. I had a total of 46 puff stitch for mine. Okay, if you don't have the same number, don't worry, our tension is different, so you have no problem. So I'm doing my last puff stitch around. Make sure there's no extra gap around. Okay, it will make it obvious when you are joining, when you leave a lot of gaps. So as usual, when you have 9, you do your, you yarn over and pull through 2, and you chain 1 and slip stitch in the first puff stitch space, and then we are going to do an extra row. Please pay attention to this next row because there's going to be some little skipping. Okay, so to begin, we are going to chain a total of 2, and then we are going to look for the puff stitch, the last puff stitch we just did, to slip stitch to join. Okay, right there, I'm going to yarn over, insert on top. You see, we always chain, so there's a space, okay, there. So you insert on top, you pull through, you have 3 loops on the hook, yarn over, insert again, you pull through, you have what, 5 loops, yarn over, insert again, you pull through, you have 7 loops, and then finally yarn over, insert again, you have 9 loops. So once you have 9 loops, you yarn over and pull through all the 9 loops, and you chain 1, and then you skip the next puff stitch. Okay, you see this puff stitch, you skip it and go to the following puff stitch, and on top of it you see there's a space there. You insert your hook and single crochet. Okay, and since we want it slanted, that is why we skip and then we go back into that stitch later. So next we are going to yarn over, go back to the puff stitch. On top of the puff stitch you skipped, insert, pull through, you have 3 loops on the hook. Okay, you yarn over, insert, pull through, you have 5 loops on the hook. You yarn over, insert, pull through, you have 7 loops on the hook. You yarn over, insert, pull through, you have what, 9 loops on the hook before you yarn over and pull through all 9 loops, and chain 1 always to secure before you skip the next puff stitch and move on top of the following. Okay, so this is the next puff stitch. Please skip, just go towards the following, and we are inserting the stitches on top of the puff stitch. You see the chain 1, it always creates this space to make single crocheting there easier. So just single crochet there, and then you repeat simultaneously. The stitch you skipped, the puff stitch you skipped, that's where you are going to do your puff stitch on top, and then you chain 1. Okay, as you can see, I've made 3 so far. You skip the following on top, you always single crochet, and then we repeat this. Okay, so visualize. It's fine to unravel and test out what works for you, but yeah, I love this detail. Getting to the end is not a difficult task. Okay, so keep doing what you are doing. You see, there's this last puff stitch, so right where you made the first puff stitch, you are going to single crochet there, and then you go back into the puff stitch you skipped, and then repeat till you have 9 loops on your hook. And then you yarn over and pull through all the 9 loops. You chain 1 and slip stitch on top of the first puff stitch you made, and you are done, because we have only 2 rows for this puff stitch. But you can be creative and add more rows if you want to, but not more, or else your heart is going to be big. Just maybe an extra row. Okay, so now I'm going to switch back to my 3.5mm hook, and I'm going to chain a total of 3. We are going to work on the ribbed band. The ribbed band consists of front post and back post double crochet repeated simultaneously. Okay, so now for the first row, we are just going to do a normal double crochet row. So just locate on top of the stitches, okay, in between, and place 1 double crochet in each stitch. Okay, so what I do is that I make sure I place at least 3 or 2 double crochets, on top of each puff's detail. Okay, so you don't necessarily have to make it the exact number I made, but just make sure your stitches are lying flat and they are not bunched up or giving a ruffle effect. So just locate the top aspects and just place 1 double crochet. This will be the base of the ribbed band, which will be front post and back post double crochet. So just figure it out and place 1 double crochet on top of each. I'll meet you at the end of the row. So here we are at the end of the row. As usual, I'm going to slip stitch to join, and we begin our second row, which will include front post and back post double crochet. So you always chain 3 to begin, and then we are going to do a front post around the first double crochet, as you can see. And then this is going to be the first time I'm doing a back post double crochet. To do a back post, you wrap the yarn around the hook and insert the hook from behind. So go back like this. You see the space here, you see where the hook is coming from, then you bring it, backwards towards around the stitch. Okay, and then you yarn over and pull through. You should have 3 loops, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. So that's a back post double crochet, and it's easy. So repeat simultaneously, 1 front post double crochet around the next, and then 1 back post double crochet around the following. Okay, and you can always tweak your pattern or make some decreases if you want, it to be a little bit smaller for the ribbed band. But yeah, I'm just figuring things out and working along with this pattern. Now getting to the end of the simultaneous repetition of front post, back post, double crochet, you realize that it's cinching in. So what I do basically is that I make my last, so the rest of the rows will be the same repetition as the front post, back post, double crochet. So this is going to be your first front post around the previous front post, and then the next stitch will be the back post double crochet around the previous back post. And you realize that the back post detail is at the back, so you always yarn over and insert the hook in this state and then pass it through. You pull up a loop, and then you pull through 2, and then you pull through the final 2 loops. And so I'm going to repeat this for a couple of rows. After completing this row, it's the same front post, back post motion. You realize that this will help you cinch in your project, and it will give you this ribbed feature, which will make your hat fit perfectly. Here we have it. I did a total of 10 rows, okay, including the regular double crochet row we made for the first, but you can add more to help you, expand the rib. However, I'm going to move on to the next section by incorporating my little cowrie detail and also some straps which will be woven in around the ribbed band to add this feature to it. To make the strap, I'm going to make a slip knot and chain a total of 120. We don't want the strap to be very long, okay, just a little to weave in. So after chaining a total of 20, I'm going to pull up a loop and cut, leaving a little bit strand. Now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to take one cowrie, and with the help of my darning needle, I'm going to join that cowrie to the end. I'm not going to do it for the other opposite side yet. So just take your darning needle and just weave in through, sew in the ends, in that manner, and make sure your cowrie is well fitted at the edge. This detail is a game changer and it's very cute. And so this other end where I did not do the weaving in or add the cowrie, I'm just going to thread my darning needle and insert it through the ribbed band, okay, before I attach the cowrie, because when you have the cowrie at the other edge, you will not be able to weave in through the rib band, and I weave in the exact middle of the rib band. So afterwards I just join the other cowrie, and as you can see your two cowrie details, and the strap is just perfect. And so the next step is to sew in the cowrie on the puff side, okay. So I'm sewing two, and yeah, that's it. I just thread a needle. You can also use a darning needle for this, but with this one I just took off the plier, so I took just two plies, and that's what I worked with a normal sewing needle. And that is it, guys. I hope this tutorial was insightful. If you recreate this, please tag me in your post and credit me as well. And also thanks to Crochet by Tess for this yarn. I really enjoyed working with this yarn, and it has a very soft texture, and making the other types of hats, the other colors, were also insightful, and I think this piece is a bestseller. So yeah, if you have any questions, make sure you leave it in the comment section and I'll reply. I'll see you in another video. Bye.